It says I'm live. Yay! I made it. Welcome to all of y'all. Let me start off before going anywhere further just to give a big old SKD 143. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love all of y'all out there. I love all the reality TV world in general. We got a little bit to talk about tonight. We Celebrity Big Brother. Still don't know anything about the cast, but we'll talk about that a little bit perhaps. Amazing Races starting on Wednesday. We'll talk about that. And a little bit of everything this evening. Just celebrate that we are now in 2022. 2020 wasn't so great, right? No, I shouldn't say that. There's a lot of good things that happened, but there are also some kind of not so good things that happened in 2020. Same with 2021. I'm ready to be done with this COVID. How about y'all? I hope y'all are doing fantastic. And got any particular topics you want to talk about? Just throw them out there. I'm going to be trying to keep up with the comments, and we'll just have a little back and forth on the first Monday of 2022. All right, let's see who's out here. First of all, Elisha is out here. Good evening, Elisha. Lori A., Mark Taylor, David Buchanan, Ma, Zachary, Michelle Moore, Jake the Snake. Man, all my friends out there. Brian House there, Travel the World, Chaz, Paula Scar, Cody, Andy, and Linda Acuff. Howdy, guys. Thank you for the support. Thank you for coming out here on a Monday evening. Man, I got to go back to work tomorrow. I kind of enjoyed this long, extended holiday. I was off on Friday. I was off on Monday. Went up to celebrate. We did Christmas down here in Houston, but went up to the Dallas-Fort Worth area to see my mom, my extended family for the New Year's Eve. I had a big extended family celebration. Had a lot of fun doing that. So, yeah, we'll not all of it was fun. I had my own little situations and all that we'll talk about. But first of all, before we do that, is some more people are coming in. Let me throw a few things out here because I just all kinds of stuff to talk about tonight. First of all, this day in history. I haven't done this in a few weeks because there was so much other stuff going on. I just never quite got around to it. You know, other stuff, getting ready for Christmas and all that. But y'all know what this day in history is? Well, yeah, it's kind of an open question. A lot of things happen in history, but the ones I wanted to point out, first of all, did y'all know in 1496, so that's only what, 26 years and some change, 626 years, yeah, just a little before I was born. But Leonardo da Vinci, not DiCaprio, I don't think he's that old either. Leonardo da Vinci unsuccessfully tested a flying machine. I didn't do enough research. I want to find out, how do you unsuccessfully test a flying machine? I guess he wasn't trying to pilot it, right? We all see those old-timey clips of people trying to fly and they just crash to the ground. Either he started off from a pretty low spot or he talked someone else into being the pilot. He said, hey, I designed it. You got to try to fly it. I'm not sure what the background is, but he was unsuccessful in his flying machine. So I guess painting maybe was his thing more than the inventions, right? Now, you can't be an inventor without a bunch of failures. You gotta work through a lot of failures before you get to the ones that work. And he just proves that out. We don't worry about the things he didn't do well in terms of his inventions. It's the ones that he did fantastic. Yeah. What do they say? Edison did like 100 versions of the light bulb before he finally got one that worked. And a lot of people had a lot of failures before they came up with it. So anyway, 1496, he tries to test a flying machine. Didn't quite work out. As a segue, as kind of a continuation of the same process, did y'all know in 1872, still a little before my time, 1872, the first patent was issued by the United States Patent Office. And you think, what's that got to do with anything going on with Cliff Notes? Well, let me tell y'all, guys. The first patent was issued in 1872. Old Boss Hog, actually have a patent all my own when was mine patented? 1998, somewhere around there. I could be off by a few years. I don't remember that. But if you go out to the patent office and you do a search for patent with one of the inventors named William Clifford Hogg, that's me. That's me that's got the patent that shows up. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Open hole formed junction system, I think is how it's described. Basically, it's a way to cut holes in the side of an oil well so you can go out and find new oil in different parts of the zones and all of that. And so I've got a patent to my name. Now, unfortunately, when I invented it, the company I was working for took ownership of all patents. So even though I'm the inventor, someone else actually got the profits from it. But that's okay. My name's still listed on the patent. So Leonardo da Vinci, Albert Einstein, or Thomas Edison, and old Cliff Hogg out in the patent office. I don't know. I guess Leonardo da Vinci probably was a little before the U.S. Patent Office. But I'm out there. So I kind of wound up Leonardo, didn't I? Isn't that kind of cool? So yeah, there's my claim to fame. Is I actually do have a patent sitting out there, and that's cool. Who knows? Someday someone may say, "I remember that patent Cliff did 500 and something years ago." But yeah, now we moved on to other things. All right, let's see. Couple of comments before we go any further. Mark Taylor, any word on players for Celebrity Big Brother? Yeah, no, Mark, I said I was going to talk a little bit about it, but I really don't have any news for you. I mean, I know it starts, February 3rd? I can't remember exactly the date. I think it's February 3rd. But they haven't said anything about these celebrities. And I'm not surprised because especially a celebrity, as busy as those folks are, as in demand and all that, there's probably a fear that if they announce them too early and then they back out at the last minute, or I'm sure they've got to get COVID tested just like everyone else. There's all kinds of reasons that maybe they would end up not doing it. So they're probably not going to announce those names until just a day or two before the show starts. So the only way we're going to hear names is if someone, some little PR person that's wanting a little extra publicity, maybe whispers their name to the right people. Other than that, I don't think CBS is going to release it for a while. So I don't know. I haven't heard anything yet. I keep hearing names like Tiffany Pollard and some others that a lot of people want them to be a Celebrity Big Brother, but I haven't heard anything about actual Big Brother contestants, Celebrity Big Brother. So, I don't know. We'll wait and see. Chaz saying, will you recap the Amazing Race and Celebrity Big Brother? Yes, probably the Celebrity Big Brother. I'm thinking about it. No absolute promises yet, but yeah, I probably will do Celebrity Big Brother. Unless there's some celebrity in there that's John Cena or someone like that, that's a big old hulking beast that's going to come kick my rear end if I say anything bad about him. Then I'll have to reconsider. Maybe I'll grow a beard and mustache and claim to be someone else. I don't. Yeah, I'll probably do Celebrity Big Brother. Amazing Race. I've thought about it, and I'm just not sure there's enough time for me to do that. And the Celebrity Big Brother. And I got a lot of things going on this spring, so probably not, which doesn't mean that we won't talk about it during this show. Heck, for that matter, maybe I'll do a little 10-minute recap or something after the show, but probably not a full-blown, 30-minute long recap type thing. I just think it's going to be, I don't want to start doing it and then stop halfway, because then people a few years from now will be going out to YouTube. Hey, the team's in the Amazing Race. Someone's going to be out there and they're going to say, well, how come he covered the first 3 episodes and then he just stopped? He didn't show us with our big glorious win at the end. Yeah, and then they'll be mad at me for not covering all of it. So I would only do it if I thought I had the time from start to finish, and I'm just not sure I do. So that's a real long answer to say Celebrity Big Brother, yes. Amazing Race, probably not. But we'll see. Who knows? We'll certainly talk about it out here. Now, Amazing Race. I'm excited, guys. It starts on Wednesday. When I was over at Hearts of Reality, I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. When I was over at Hearts of Reality, Will and James were there, as were Victoria and Michelle, and then Leo. Lana wasn't there. They were all from season 32. Y'all remember them? All nice, incredible people. I love talking to all of them. Poor Leo. I mentioned to him, I said, man, I felt so sorry for y'all having to count. Y'all are in Kazakhstan having to count on a movie set. Flags coming by. It's so difficult. And he still felt a little upset about that. But mainly I talked to Will and James, and they had told me at the time that they were starting this new season up with all the cast that they had from the first, from the season that started. They did 2 or 3 episodes, and then it they had to stop because of COVID. And yeah, Mark's asking, does Amazing Race start this season as it left off 2 seasons ago? Yes. I mean, we had season 32 that Will and James won. There was another season that we haven't seen any of it yet, because I think they only did a couple of episodes. But what Will and James told me, well, actually it's Will, but told me was that they did the first couple of episodes. COVID came in. They sent everyone home for a year and a half or so. And then when they were ready to do the season, start it back up, they wanted to get all the same teams back. They didn't cast new people. And I'm really glad to hear that. I would have felt so sorry for those people if they just did a couple episodes and then their chance to win $1 million went away. So they were going to bring back all the people. Unfortunately, I think that there were 2 teams that, for whatever reason, couldn't come back. They may have been best friends that got in a huge fight with each other, or someone was having a baby, or who knows? Who knows with the Amazing Race teams? But I think they started off with 11 teams. By the time COVID hit, they had lost 2 teams already, so there were 9 teams left. And of those 9 teams, they got 7 teams that came back. So as far as us watching, I think there'll be Well, I don't know. I guess the first episode or two, they'll have these extra two teams. I don't know. Will they just edit them out? They can't do that because there's going to be two teams that go home before before COVID even hit. So I guess I'll just show those, and then after those first two, then we'll suddenly just have two teams that disappear. I guess Phil will come back and say, yeah, they're gone, not because COVID did anything, but just because it's been a while. I think they'll be honest with us. But anyway, so that's how it's going to work. So all the same teams that they start with are going to finish the race as well. Now, here's the other thing I've heard. I was told that they're doing differently. Because air travel was so difficult, airports, travel restrictions, public exposure, all of that, they didn't fly commercial airlines. Instead, apparently the Amazing Race chartered a 757 that flew the entire team, everyone from location to location. And that way, because it's not just the contestants, you got the cameramen, the writers, the showrunner. Who knows how many people are involved in doing that Amazing Race? It's got to be, for every contestant, there's got to be a couple of dozen people just setting everything up, right? So they have a big old 757. Everyone flies together, so no one is exposed to the public during travel back and forth. So they're all doing it on an airplane, which I thought was kind of a cool idea. Now, I did hear a little bit in terms of where they're going this season. Apparently, before COVID hit, I guess they were in Scotland and England, which is kind of cool because I'm loving me some Scotland and England. Scotland, one of my favorite countries, especially. I always love when they do Amazing Race and they go to somewhere where I've already been. And so they'll do that in England and Scotland. But then after they get done with that, I think they said that they're going to, after COVID time period, wherever they were supposed to go. Yeah, I'm thinking they probably didn't go to China or India or some of the places where you tend to have a little bit more population. Now, instead, they're going to, I think they said, Italy and Greece and Portugal. Now, there may be other places in addition to those three countries after COVID, but those are the ones I heard about. That's kind of cool. I've been to Italy less than 24 hours. I was in Milan real quick, and then I had to fly back. I never even had a chance to eat spaghetti or do anything touristy at all. I had no gelato, no spaghetti, nothing. It was a quick business trip in and right back out. Never been to Portugal, never been to Greece. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward. It's my favorite part of the Amazing. Well, one of my favorite parts of the Amazing Race is just watching them in all these new countries and learning about all the new things, tourist stops and things like that. I would love to do Amazing Race, but there's a part of me that thinks I maybe wouldn't do so great because I'd get to some new spot, get my clue, and they'd be saying, quick, we got to run to the next spot. And I'd be saying, well, no, let me take a picture of this, or let me just enjoy the atmosphere for a minute or two before I take off. I wouldn't do that. I'd take off running full speed, but I certainly would be tempted to stick around and enjoy some of the sights. I'd be wanting them to let me go back and visit again after the race was over and see everything that I'd only gotten to see for a minute or two. That'd be the way to do it, right? Win $1 million and you can go see all those countries all over again. All right, a couple of things. Paula Scar and Jan Johnson, what did you do on New Year's Eve? Did you make any New Year's resolutions? All right, well, first of all, the one thing that I absolutely did is I had some cornbread and black-eyed peas. That's about as far as my New Year's resolutions go. I think I said last week that I don't normally do a whole lot of New Year's resolutions except just to try to do better than I did the year before. And so, yeah, I didn't sit down and say, if I had resolutions, it'd be, I'm going to start running more. I'm going to lose some weight, things like that. And I'll do all that. I didn't officially write it down and say, okay, hold me to this 365 days later. Let's check. Because that's just a recipe for failure, I think. So no, I didn't do resolutions like that, but I did eat the cornbread and black-eyed peas because that's a tradition, at least down here in the South. Now I know some of y'all up in the northern part of the States, all the way up there in Canada. Speaking of, some of y'all been a little cold weather, stormy stuff, huh? Up there. I've seen some of those snow flurries and everything. Not down here so much. But no, down here in the South, that's our tradition, is that we eat cornbread, we eat black-eyed peas. I think one's supposed to bring you good fortune, one's supposed to bring you money. I'm not sure which is which. Doesn't really matter. Guarantee it. Man, I see how much food I can eat on that particular day. But no, so we do that as a tradition, and we certainly did that. As far as New Year's Eve actual parties and all that, it's been a few years since I've gone out to a club and hit New Year's Eve, something like that. Never been to Times Square, although it'd be fun to do maybe once. Well, it's pretty crowded. to me. But no, I didn't do anything exotic like that. Sharon and I and the family, extended family, all got together at one of my brother's houses up in the Dallas Fort Worth area. Just had a big New Year's Eve celebration. Watched all the shows on TV. Uh, Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper are two of my favorites to watch on New Year's Eve. They're just hilarious, and this year just as funny as ever. So we watch a lot of that. We celebrate New Year's when the ball drops in New York City at 11 o'clock. We do an early celebration. And then we wait till it hits midnight here in Texas and we celebrate all over again. So we did that. We had bottles of champagne and toasted each other and hugged each other and all of that. So that was my New Year's Eve celebration. I did stay up till midnight, which, yeah, during the COVID years, isn't that funny? That's going to be a thing. Right? As we get older and go forward from now, we're all going to be saying, yeah, do you remember during the COVID years, we did this, we did that? During the COVID years, our New Year's Eve celebration was a little quieter. Sharon and I would stay up till midnight, drink our champagne, toast each other, say, all right, time to go to bed. Not quite the same this year because we had the big family there with us. So we did a lot of that, watched all the football games on TV, and that was our New Year's Eve celebration. So, yeah, some of y'all probably had a lot more exciting things happen than I did, but that's what we did. Misfire, John Cena follows my best friend on Twitter. Well, that's pretty cool. I'd be pretty impressed if he followed me. He's popular TikToker in Europe, has a Grammy Award with Portugal the Man. All right, I didn't know any of that. Not a thing. I like John Cena. I'm not huge into wrestling. I don't have anything against wrestling. I think it's fun to watch. I just have never really spent a lot of time watching too much. But I know John Cena. I love him as an actor. I think he's a funny guy. He can be a comedian that doesn't look like he ought to be a comedian based on the body and everything else he's got. But yeah, all right. I'm thoroughly impressed. John Cena, if you just happen to be watching this, think about giving me a follow, and I'd be much appreciative. That's pretty cool. All right. What else do we have on here? Let me look at some of these. I've got Paula saying, will they go into lockdown for 2 weeks? And do you eat chili with beans or without? All right, let's address the second one before we address the first one. I am firmly of the opinion, Paula, if it's chili and if it has beans, it ain't chili, it's stew. All right, now I know people disagree with me. When I ask for chili, I don't want beans in it. The only exception, Wendy's fast food, I think when you get chili there, I think it may have beans in it. I guess I'll give them a little slack because, they're fast food chain and all that. But no, in terms of homemade chili and all that, don't want any beans touching my chili. That's for different kind of meals. So no, I'm a big purist that my chili can't have beans in it. It was so funny when I was in the Big Brother house because I think I've mentioned on here before, but some of y'all may not have heard. When we're in sequester, before we actually go into the Big Brother house, one of the things we're asked to do is fill out a long preference sheet of your favorite foods, your least favorite foods, your favorite sweets, your favorite cookies, your favorite pizza toppings, everything. They want to know everything there is to know about you. And part of the reason for that is to figure out how to put food in your HOH basket, or how to put things in your HOH basket if you win HOH, which fortunately I did one time. And one of the things I put down in a section of, if you want HOH, what would you like in your basket, special or something? I don't remember how they phrased it, but I put down some canned chili. And sure enough, I had 2 cans of chili, no beans, but 2 cans of chili in my HOH basket when I won it. And one of them I ate almost immediately, put it on hot dogs. Oh, so good. It just reminded me of home a little bit. But Tommy Bracco thought that was the most disgusting thing in the world. Had no desire to get anywhere close to that canned chili, but I forced him to take a bite. And you would have thought I was getting him to eat dirt. I mean, he wouldn't even taste it. He just put it in there, swallowed it without tasting it all. But at least he tried a little canned chili. Swore he'd never try it again, but whatever. But I ate 1 can right off the bat, and the other can I never ate. I said, all right, I'm going to keep it. That's going to be my celebration. If I am in here the very last day I'm in the house, if I'm in here on the very last day of Big Brother, it's finale night and all of that, then I'll eat my can of chili. Otherwise, it's just going to sit there and serve as a reward for me. Well, I missed it by 6 days. So I walked out of that house and that canned chili was still sitting upstairs in the our little game room area next to the fish tank that we had during our season. They haven't had it since our season, but that canned chili was still sitting up there. For all I know, it's still sitting up there. I don't think the folks out in California are huge fans of it either. But now it's up. No beans in my chili. Now the first part of the question: do they still sequester for 2 weeks? I don't know. I would think so, although they're celebrities. So I can see a lot of them saying, I'm not sequestering for 2 weeks. I bet they got to still sequester, but I bet it's only for a week or so. I'm guessing they may go in on a Wednesday, sequester, take a COVID test on a Tuesday or something, and then they'll go in the house on a Tuesday right after the test comes back, something like that. Just my guess. I'm not coming back as part of the Celebrity Big Brother, so, and no one's told me anything. It's just a guess on my part. I bet it's not 2 weeks because I'm sure they would balk at that. It was hard. It was incredibly hard before Big Brother started to be sitting in a sequester location, knowing that you're probably, well, I knew at that point, they had not told, they said, you're not an alternate. You're going on unless, something weird happens. So I knew I was getting ready to go on the show, but just waiting to have nothing to do, no one to talk to, and just sitting in a room, bored to tears, and so busy, so full of anticipation. That was hard. I can't imagine having to do it even longer. Because I know, for example, Nicole Anthony and some of the others who did Big Brother All-Stars, I've talked to some of them, and they were in sequester longer than I was. And it was especially boring for them because they had zero contact with anyone else because of COVID restrictions and everything. I think even some of their little intro videos and stuff, they filmed themselves just so they didn't have to interact with anyone. That would be hard. That's a long time. At least when you're in a house, you have other people to talk to. Now, they're all trying to stab you in the back and lying to you, but at least you have other people to talk to. All right, KW, did some fish die during your season? Yeah, some fish died during our season, I think. And they named the fish. They had them all named based on how they behaved inside the house. So there was a fish that was Nicole. There was another one named Cat. They both died, and we feel like both of them probably were killed by the Mickey fish, there were two fish that were big and aggressive. As soon as we would drop food in, they would just charge the food, grab it before any of the smaller fishes could get to it. So they named those Mickey and Jack. And then there were a couple of the smaller fishes that they were scared. They stayed down in the corner. And we always worried about them because they never seemed to be getting any food. So they named those Nicole and Cat. And yeah, unfortunately, Nicole and Catfish ended up not catfish. I get it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we did lose one or two fish. We actually had a funeral for the fish, which I thought was the silliest thing in the world. I spent half the time they had in the camp have not room, made to look like an old fishing camp or just a bad camp. Well, there's fishing twine in there. I thought, well, I could take a little paper clip or find some little piece of metal, make me a little hook and do some fishing in that fish tank, which I was told was not permissible. But yeah, we had the fish that died. They actually wanted to have a funeral. If I recall, Nick and Ovi were the two that were really upset, that were really not happy that these fish had died, that required us to all go up there and have a funeral. And I didn't mind doing it. It was fun to do, but that was one of those things where you also don't ever say no to something like that because you don't want people getting mad saying, he's a party pooper. He's not playing with us or anything. So we all went up there and had a funeral for the fish. I think I remember saying something like, this is a really crappy situation. Yeah, get it? Crappy. Yeah, kind of fish. I mean, if you're a fisherman, you get it. But now we did a funeral for him. That was back in the early part of the season when we actually were all more or less getting along and all. And then things started blowing up a little bit later. But yeah, we had a few fish. By the end of the season, we had a few fewer fish than what we started with. All right, Ma's saying John Santa seems nice, though. Can't wait for Amazing Race. Rooting for Sam and Connie. All right, I didn't talk about who's on the Amazing Race because I actually had gone in and looked at some of the teams. And there's not a lot of descriptions on them, but there are a couple of people that I was going to cheer for. And let's see who I've got on there and see if they match up with you, Ma. All right. Maybe not, but that doesn't mean that those two aren't fantastic teammates. The three that really jumped out at me that I thought would be fun watching them compete. One is Anthony and Spencer. Now, these are two guys. I didn't know their names. I didn't know who they were until I read the description. These are the two guys that are friends that were on a train trip in Europe when a Moroccan terrorist tried to, I don't remember if he had a gun or a bomb. I think it was a gun, tried to kill a bunch of people on a train. And these two, Anthony and Spencer, charged the guy, took him down. I think they were both stabbed and somewhat seriously injured. But they stopped this terrorist from hurting anyone else on the train, and were kind of heroes and got awards from different countries, Paris and England and the States and all that. Anyway, they're on the show. So yeah, I can't help but cheer for the two heroes that were willing to kind of just stare danger in the face and say, come on. So yeah, I'm going to be cheering for them. Another one is Michael and Armande, singing police officers. They're going to be fun, right? The other thing I like about these two is one guy looks like he's about 7 foot tall. The other one looks like he's a lot shorter than that. They really are differences in height. One of them said before going on the show, he lost about 50 pounds to try to get in shape. All right, I can relate. That sounds like the kind of person I'm going to be cheering for as well. And then the third one that I really thought was a standout kind of team, I hope they do well, is Ryan and Dusty. And the reason I like these two guys, they're best friends, but apparently Ryan or Dusty, I don't remember which one. We'll call him Ryan. One of them got convicted for a crime, spent 10 years in jail. Turns out he didn't commit. He was innocent. He got released, but he still spent 10 years in jail. So they're using this amazing race as a chance for the two guys to bond together, since they were kind of distanced for 10 years. Isn't that rough? Isn't that just horrible? For that reason alone, these two guys, I hope they do well, because God, how bitter would you be at everything in life in general if you were in that kind of situation? I hope that I hope they have all the pleasures and fun and enjoy this race and exposure, because sure seems like he deserves it. So now those are the three teams I right off the bat said, okay, these are who I'm going to cheer for. But just like Survivor and every other reality show, who I start off thinking I'm going to cheer for isn't always who I end up cheering for at the end of the season, because the casting does such a good job. Some of these people that I kind of think, yeah, they would rub me the wrong way. And then you watch, think, well, they're actually pretty cool people. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. All right, Star. Have you watched Joe Pickett or Station 11? They are so good. Joe Pickett, you're going to have to give me a little details on that, because I don't recognize that name at all. Station 11, no, I have not watched it, but I want to. I've seen a few commercials. I don't remember what streaming service it's on, but whatever it is, I've got it, because I've watched multiple commercials on it about a kind of a post-apocalyptic type situation, right? Something like that. Those are my kind of movies. I love kind of this dystopian problem future type situation. And so, no, I have not watched Station 11, but it's skyrocketing on my list of movies to watch. Speaking of, I told y'all last week I was going to do it, and I finally did it. Matrix Resurrections, part 4 of the Matrix trilogy. Now I guess it's quadrology or something. Finally watched it, and gotta say, I enjoyed it. It's not as good as the first one, because the first Matrix was so groundbreaking. I mean, everything about it was so new, and new filmmaking and everything else, and such big questions about reality and perceptions and all that. I don't think any movie will ever be able to replicate that. But this one was pretty good. I found it a little easier to follow what was going on. And no, it was kind of a cool. They didn't take themselves too seriously. There was a whole lot of kind of inside jokes that we all get. Little things like talking about, I guess the whole idea that this is a movie about people who are living in a fantasy world, but then they take a red pill, so they're actually in a real world. But that real world is actually a fantasy world being played by actors on the movie screen, and we're in the real world. Or so we think, right? Who knows? How many levels does it go up? I need to talk to Kat Dunn. She would be my good source for what's truth, what's fiction, and where does reality end or begin. I'm sure I maybe need to talk to her. That'd be a fun little conversation to have. We'd probably have to go longer than an hour. I have a feeling it'd take a little longer than that. But no, it was a lot of fun, because they kind of winked a little bit at the viewers watching this movie when they did a lot of the things, a lot of the inside jokes and everything. So I absolutely enjoyed it. I guess I'm glad they did the fourth one. When I first heard it's coming out, it's like, it's a money grab. And they kind of laugh about that inside the movie as well. But so yeah, it was cool. If you haven't watched it, if you're a fan of The Matrix, watch it. If not, watch the first one and then then decide if you want to watch the rest of them. But no, it was good. I'm glad I finally finished that. But no, Station 11 is going on my list. Now, with that being said, I mentioned dystopian and post-apocalyptic movies like, Station 11 and things like that. I got something else for y'all. This is kind of off the wall, and it's got a little bit to do with the background. First of all, does anyone recognize this background? Let's see. I'm not going to wait forever because Beck and Floyd, Team Fun. Ma, yeah, I enjoyed Team Fun. All right. This background, for those of you who don't know what this background is, it is from a 1970s science fiction film starring over here, over there. Charlton Heston. Of course, he made all the great 70s science fiction films. The Omega Man, Planet of the Apes, and this one, Soylent Green. Has anyone seen Soylent Green? For some of y'all, it's a little before your time. Others are going to recognize Soylent Green, the name, immediately. Steve McQueen, was Steve McQueen in there? I don't know if he was in it or not. Charlton Heston was the main one on there. But yeah, it's a fantastic sci-fi movie about future times. World is completely overpopulated. Things are going on. I don't want to throw out any spoilers for y'all and all that. But here's what's funny. I put this background up. Back in the day when I was in college, I had 2 movie posters in my dorm room. One was Dawn of the Dead, my all-time favorite movie ever in terms of horror and things like that. So I had a movie poster for that. I also had the movie poster for Soylent Green. And I discovered a little bit of a surprise in that movie poster. And so I was going to show y'all the actual poster that I still have. All right, here it is, guys. Y'all see this poster? Can you see that the background is pretty much the same, right? But now here's the kicker. Can you see at the top of this movie poster what it says? It is the year 2022. People are still the same. They'll do anything to get what they need, and they need Soylent Green. It's the year 2022. There you go, guys. We thought 2022 was going to be better than 2021 or 2020. Yeah, not according to the folks over at Soylent Green. So yeah, it's I look for it in your favorite grocery store before too long. The brand new 2022 version of Soylent Green. Again, I said last week that 2020 was considered a long time in the future back when I was a kid. Well, here's the evidence for it. These people said, well, 2020 is a long time in the future. Let's go out 2 more years to show it's really, really a long time in the future, and we'll call Soylent Green 2022. Well, we're there. We are absolutely here, and now we got to deal with the repercussions and the impact. We maybe don't have quite the overpopulation they show on here and everything, but there's a lot of people wearing masks at this show. A lot of people behaving a little bit like some of the people do nowadays as well. So I thought that was very, very kind of interesting. So that's my little trivia item for that. That Soylent Green poster apparently is worth a decent amount of money. I had no clue. I don't even really remember why I bought it. I think I bought Dawn of the Dead, and guy said I'll throw in that one as well because I told him I liked the movie. And now one of these days, I don't know, I may sell that and make a little extra money. So who knows? All right, what else do we have on here? Nick Angelo. Glad to see you're still actively making videos. You gonna watch Big Brother this year? Well, yeah, absolutely. Thank you first of all for the videos. I appreciate it. Yeah, I have too much fun with my Monday nights. I do recaps of Big Brother and all. And yes, I'll do Big Brother this summer. Absolutely. I'm going to probably do Celebrity Big Brother, as I mentioned earlier. So during those shows, I have extra episodes where I talk about them, overnight recaps, things like that. But this Monday night, this is episode 57. And I was doing it even before this when they were over on the TV Co-op, or I was over on the TV Co-op. So now I love doing this because I get to kind of talk to you guys and hear some of your questions and give kind of updates and all that. So thank you. I appreciate the support. Absolutely do. Mark saying, will Celebrity Big Brother have the same TV schedule as regular Big Brother? I think so, but don't quote me on that because it could be wrong. I thought I saw somewhere, though, that it's still going to be that typical Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday schedule. The question I've got is live feeds. Are we going to see as much of them? Or is it going to be just certain periods of time? I don't know about that, but yeah, I think it's 3 days a week, just like we've had with regular season. It's been too long since Celebrity Big Brother 2. I just don't remember all the finer points on that, though. So I don't know. We'll find out, but I think so. All right, Chaz, do you have a favorite Amazing Race player of all time? Oh, That's so tough. Someone mentioned Team Fun earlier, and they were a lot of fun. Uh, no, I like the father son teams sometimes and the father daughter teams just because it makes me think how fun it would be to do the Amazing Race with my daughter or my son. So I kind of cheer for them just because of the circumstances. There were there was a team. There's so many of them. I tend to cheer for those kind of players. I tend to cheer for the older guys that maybe aren't the most athletic of all. Uh, don't know why I'd be cheering for someone like that. Now, I tend to cheer for the people that I feel like I have some connections with. There was a brother and sister team that was from Texas. One of the earlier seasons, I remember cheering for them. Uh, I don't know. As soon as I get off this broadcast, I'm gonna go back and look at the list. And say, oh, I can't believe I didn't cheer for them or didn't mention them. But here's the thing: there's almost Big Brother, Survivor. There's people that I really, really cheer for, and then there's one or two people that not so much. The Amazing Race is almost a little bit different. The Amazing Race, I find that there's several teams. The Globetrotters, that's a team that I kind of cheered for. I didn't think I'd cheer for them, but they were just fun to watch on the show. There's teams that a lot of teams I really cheer for, and at the end I'm saying, well, if any of them win, I'm fine with that. Uh, and then there's always one or two teams, and they're usually the ones that are arguing so much, or one of them is just so condescending to the other contestant on their team. You know, there's been a husband and wife team, a boyfriend girlfriend team here or there where I just thought one person wasn't really nice to the other one. So I catch myself really cheering against a few people more so than cheering for a whole lot of people, which is different than the other reality shows where it tends to be just the opposite. But no, I kind of like cheering for all of them. And Moss saying there is a father daughter team this year. Yeah, I saw that, and I'll be cheered for them. I know last season there was a father son team. They didn't last that long. I think they were out maybe episode 2. It's hard. It's really hard when it's the father that just can't keep up for whatever reason and just doesn't quite make it. I feel for him when that happens. But I think the difference with Amazing Race as opposed to some of these other shows is the Amazing Race. It didn't always as much about the plotting and the strategy and backstabbing and all the stuff we get on some of these other shows. Sometimes here it's just pure, can you solve the puzzle? Can you find the clue faster? Things like that. And so there aren't as many people that really get me mad as some of the other shows and all that. And so by the end, there's a whole lot of teams that there's very few teams I'm like, oh God, I hope they don't win this one. Any of them could win. And so that's typically how I treat it. But yeah, there's no one I saw in this initial cast that I said, oh, I'm going to be cheering against them this season. Right now, they're all fine in my books. I'm sure one or two will jump out before long, but yeah, it's hard. I can't tell you any particular great teams I remember. There's just a lot of fun ones. All right, Chaz, do you watch This Is Us? No, I don't. I don't know why I haven't. I think someone told me there were maybe some sad moments or something in there, and I just didn't quite. Not enough hours in the day. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I just haven't want to add it to the list, as I always say. One of the ones that one of these days. Of course, by the time I watch it, it'll be way past for everyone else. But yeah, that Yellowstone's the one. Yellowstone and Succession. Those are the two, and Station 11. Those are my next 3. I think that I need to start watching. I better do it quick because once the Amazing Race is already here, now Celebrity Big Brother, I'll be out of time before I know it. Ms. Fire, will you recap the Winter Olympics? Oh, Ms. Fire, I don't think I could. Do you really want me recapping rhythmic skating or the bobsled? Oh, look at that guy doing the skeleton down the bobsled run. He really hurt himself there, didn't he? Yeah, I don't know. And I'm a guy from the South. I'm the last person. You can talk to some of my Canadian friends that are out here that could do a much better job about commenting on ice hockey than I ever could. My ice hockey is limited to, I know what icing is. I know what hat tricks are. I know some team throws out octopuses if something happens just right and someone scores enough goals or something. I know that one of the greatest skating event or athletic events I ever saw in my entire life was the 1980 U.S. men's ice hockey team beating the Russians in the semifinals of the Olympics. I know that I always like watching the USA and the Canada go against each other in hockey because they're so hardcore for hockey up in Canada. That's it for my ice hockey knowledge, really. I know a few things more or less than that, but no, I don't feel like a guy from the South where it rarely snows or ices or anything down here is probably the best at recapping anything to do with the Winter Olympics. I'm not the greatest in terms of snowboarding, although I have gone snow skiing quite a bit. I love snow skiing. I find myself having to take more breaks now than I used to when I go down those hills, but it was always hard. The one thing I didn't ever like about snow skiing was I would go with my wife, but we would rarely see each other on the hills because she liked the green slopes. She liked the bunny slopes. She likes the slopes that you just go nice and casual all the way down. Not me. I'm a risk taker. I'm the one that whatever skill level I have, I want to push it just a little bit. If I'm a skill level 7 on skiing, then I want to take the slopes that are 8 or 9. And just a little, I like feeling just a little bit out of control when I do my snow skiing. Now I've paid the price for it. I've never no serious injuries. A few sprained wrists and knees and things like that. And a whole lot of facefuls of snow and brushes with branches and things like that. But because of that, I would often snow ski and not see my wife until we took a break at lunch or something. So that's not as much fun as sitting on a cruise ship and just hanging out, whatever. But anyway, so now I probably will not be doing the Winter Olympics, but I appreciate the endorsement to do it. And we'll talk about in these shows, but probably not as a separate topic. David Buchanan, the Miracle on Ice. Do you believe in miracles? Do you know that was the first athletic event where I really remember hearing that USA, USA, USA. And now everywhere you go, that's all you hear, right? If I was from some other country, and David, I don't know how y'all Canadians, other folks treat it, but if I was from in the middle of nowhere, Asia or somewhere else, I hear all these people going USA, I'd get a little that'd irritate me after a very short time period because we're pretty proud of ourselves, aren't we? But yeah, I remember that in 1980, that USA chant starting, and do you believe in miracles? And oh my God, I relived that moment forever and ever. I watched Mike Tyson get beat by Buster Holyfield, heavyweight fight. That was the other big sporting moment. I remember Hank Aaron beating Babe Ruth's record. I was over at my grandparents watching that Atlanta Braves game on TV. There are a few sporting moments here and there that I remember. But the Miracle on Ice probably is the biggest of all. On my deathbed, I'll still be talking about the Miracle on Ice. All right, Ma, Cliff should be an Olympic announcer. All right, well, you know what? Now, I could do that as long as you aren't too serious. I kind of feel like if you put me on the Comedy Channel or somewhere and asked me to do comments on artistic dancing on ice or, there's a few sports I could probably have a certain type of audience that it couldn't be ice skaters. When me say, "Oh, look, that person's doing a triple Lindy Lutzy on the half shell or something," and they'd be saying, "That idiot! I have no desire to watch him." But for other people who know as little about Winter Olympic sports as I do, it may be kind of fun. So here's the question for you: if you could do any Winter Olympic sport, you just go in and say, "Sign me up! I want to go out and do it and compete." And I probably won't win a medal, but I just would like to try it. Go ahead and sign me up if you don't mind. What sport would you pick? Because I got some very definite ideas. I wouldn't want to do a team sport like ice hockey because I'd just embarrass myself. I'd let down all the rest of the teams. They'd end up saying, Cliff, we'll just skate one down. You go off on the side. So I wouldn't want to do a team sport. I wouldn't want to do something that involves judges because I'm going to get out there and do figure skating. Yeah, that's the judges be embarrassed for me. So I kind of start limiting it. I don't want to do biathlon or anything that involves that cross-country skiing because that looks like the most miserable thing in the world. And I don't want to die at the Olympics. And I'm afraid that would happen if I tried to do cross-country skiing. And if I am going to maybe not make it out of the Winter Olympics, I want to go out in a glorious style, not out in the middle of the woods where there's no one watching except for some lone cameraman and all that. If I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory, I kind of got it narrowed down to two areas that I'd want to do: luge or the downhill ski jumping. Because think of this downhill jumping. I don't know a thing about landing. There's a chance that I would land multiple times. The first time when I hit, and then 7 or 8 times when I bounced all the way down the hill. But for just a 30 or 45 seconds, how glorious would it be for me just to hold my hands out, take on that Superman pose, and say, look at me, world. I am flying and I am on top of the world. Now, the reality is that's not how I would do my ski jumping. It would be more like, here I am doing my Superman. Oh, now here I go doing my tumble all the way till I hit the ground. And that'd be the end of it. But just like old ABC Wild World of Sports, for those of you who are old enough to remember it, it wasn't the big successful athletic ventures that we all watched in the opening little intro of that sports show, which used to be on Saturdays. There was always a clip of a guy that was doing a downhill ski jump, and I guess he chickened out at the last minute. And so he just kind of falls. He tumbles off the ramp at the end. That'd be me. But hey, the guy lives on for posterity, right? So I'd probably do that. Or maybe the luge, sitting on that sled. I'm sure I'd go a lot slower than everyone else. But how cool to be cutting around all those bends and turns and everything and living, hopefully. That'd be... I'd finish, I'd say, yeah, your time isn't measured in minutes, and it's measured in hours. And I'd be saying, yeah, but I'm alive. That makes me the winner. Congratulations, Cliff Hogg. So there you go. Those are my sports I'd want to do. All right, Mark Taylor. 2-man luge is your favorite. Yeah, I like the luge. I like the bobsleds. It's a little bit like NASCAR. You almost watch to see who's going to wreck as much as who's going to do well. I'd like to think that we're better than that, but deep down, I certainly pay attention when the wrecks happen on those events, right? Because there's a part of you that almost applauds someone when they do some of those events because you think, those guys are crazy. They're just complete idiots to be out on that luge course doing that. And so when you see wrecks like that, it's just kind of confirming how courageous those guys actually are, right? That's the way I'm going to treat it. It's not that I want to see those wrecks. It's just confirming my realization that those guys have amazing courage to be out there in the first place. Yeah, I like all of those. What I don't like about them, it's amazing that someone can do a race that'll be 3 minutes or so in change, and someone beats someone else by 1/100th of a second or something. That's pretty amazing that they can be that close in terms of how well they do. But yeah, I love watching all those events with the sleds and luges and skeletons and the ones that go down feet first. Those guys got a special award of courage in my book because that looks incredibly scary. All right, Nispisi. Remember Eddie the Eagle? Oh yeah. Eddie the Eagle from Britain. I think the first, the only. There may have been some since then, but yeah. Now here's the story for you. Eddie the Eagle was. See, I know all kinds of stuff. I got trapped away in this brain up here. Eddie the Eagle, I guess, wanted to go to the Olympics. He realized that that there wasn't a downhill ski jumping team from England because why would there be? I mean, they've never done much. There's not a lot of hills, I guess, and ski jumps in England. So he just signed up for it, realizing that there weren't any prerequisites to be your ski jumper. So he made it onto the team. And I remember watching that whole Olympics saying, is he going to live? And he lived. I think he scored in last place in the 2 different distances he jumped or whatever. I mean, he did horrible, but that wasn't the point. He did it. Now, the problem is they changed the rules after that Olympics. They said, from now on, you're not going to the Olympics unless you've competed somewhere else and you've achieved some kind of minimal score doing this event somewhere else before we let you in the Olympics. So they kind of shut that thing down. Remember, the Jamaican bobsled team was the same way. Jamaica bobsleds, who's ever heard of it? And yet they formed a bobsled team, and now they're pretty good. Have they won a medal? I feel like they maybe won a bronze or something at last Olympics. I have to do some research, but now the Jamaicans are actually pretty good now. They're great in track and field, and so that's a lot apparently about what bobsled is getting that initial push and start. And so, yeah, you never know. But yes, I remember Eddie the Eagle. I cheered for him every step of the way. I'm glad he lived, and I think he passed away, not for ski jumping, for something else, but I feel like he's no longer with us. But yeah, I had a lot of respect for that guy. It's kind of like, was it Sir Edmund Hillary that said, why'd you climb Mount Everest? And he said, no, just because it was there. I feel like it's the same way with Eddie Eagle. Why'd you volunteer to be a ski jumper? Oh, why not? It was there. I had the opportunity. Why not do it? That'd kind of be my motto in life, I think. All right, Sandy Beach. I've seen a few cast assessments, and there are a bunch of good teams. Oh, for Amazing Race? Yeah, I think so. It's gonna be fun. We won't. But here's the thing with that: the Amazing Race. Until we see a couple episodes, who knows how good or not so good these teams are. I kind of hope it's not like last season. If you remember, there was a bit of an alliance that formed, and as a result, I don't think it was always fair to some of the teams. There were some teams that were helping each other, and I don't know. I hope they change it this year a little bit so there's not as much ability for one team to help another. If one person has to answer a puzzle or question, I hope that they can't just whisper the answer to other teams, that maybe everyone will have a slightly different answer, something like that. That's the way I'd like to see it. But I guess that's part of the game, too, and strategy, right? So we'll see. Mark Taylor, who will win, Georgia or Alabama? Yeah, I was going to say those were some good games on New Year's Eve, but really they weren't, were they? They were kind of both blowouts. My Aggies beat Alabama. So if Bama wins, at least I'm going to say, well, A&M was the only team to beat the national champions this year. So there's something to that. But I don't know. Georgia's pretty good. I haven't seen the line for the national championship game yet. I'm sure it's out there. I just haven't seen it. I don't think Alabama's as good as they have been in years past. I think Georgia has a better chance. It just depends on attitude, though. Alabama's been there more times, though. They may be a little more calm and cool and a little less emotional when they get there, which may help them out. Georgia may still be so pumped about actually competing in the national championship. They may have to be careful that they don't get they get so worked up that they aren't doing what they need to execute. I don't know. Who am I cheering for? I don't care. I really don't care. It's not my Aggies. They're both SEC teams and all that. So I don't care. Maybe Georgia, just to share the wealth a little bit. But I just want it to be a good game. I want it to be a game for all time. Come down to 4th and 1 from the 1 yard line with 1 second to go, and one team up by 4 and the touchdown wins or something like that. I just want to see an exciting game. I'm looking forward to it, though. But yeah, those games Saturday night, Michigan and Cincinnati didn't stand a chance against these two teams. I think we got the best two teams in the nation playing each other in college football playoffs, which is okay, right? All right, Jake the Snake. My birthday is Thursday, turning 34. Well, happy birthday to you, Feliz cumpleaños. Congratulations. The 30s are a fantastic age. You've had a few years in 30 so far. 34. That was in 1999 for me. Thinking about the turn of the century and all of that. Now, congratulations. Have a blast on your special day. Enjoy every single bit of it. Do a little bit of silly dancing and do a little celebrating as well, Jake, and enjoy that birthday. Yeah, congratulations, my friend. Let's see. What else do we have on here? Chaz, who's your favorite NASCAR driver? Oh, Chaz, I don't know. Ricky Bobby? Yeah, I know he's not real. I don't know. If you gave me names, I could tell you a few of them, but I'm really a lot more into Formula One than I am into NASCAR, and I don't know why. I guess I like the idea of driving in the circuits that Formula One drives in the other countries and all. Well, I know why. Here's the thing: when I used to travel overseas, especially in Asia and in Europe, one of the things I realized real quickly was when I was trying to work with clients and all that, you got to find some common ground, right? You got to find things that you can talk about. And we didn't want to talk about oil field all the time. Well, the two things you get a European or an Asian talking very quickly if you mention soccer or football. I call it football or people get upset with you. Football or Formula One. Especially if I'm over in England, man, start talking about Premier League and all of that, then you can talk for hours on that. In Asia, it's the same way, except a lot of times it's Formula One as well. So because I did so much international travel, I really started following international soccer, football, Premier League, and Formula One. And because I followed it so much because of work, I started getting into it myself. And so now I tend to watch Formula One more so than NASCAR, which sounds kind of like a trade or something. I mean, I live in the South. We've got the Speedway just north of Fort Worth where I grew up and all that. It wasn't there when I was growing up, but it's up there now. God, holds 500,000. Huge, those NASCAR facilities. And I always watch, Daytona and all that. It's just I haven't watched enough to have a favorite driver here for a while. So I kind of have to answer with a no answer on that one. just because. Rick at Ranch, did you get a hard freeze last night? It was so cold, had to break down and hook up heat lamps in a duck and goose pen. Wow. Well, first of all, that's pretty cool that you raise ducks and geese. That's kind of neat. That'd be fun to do. But no, we did not get a hard freeze down here in Houston, my side of town. We got 31, 32. So I didn't even have to go out and wrap my pipes or anything else. Now, having said that, I wasn't going to do like last year. Y'all remember last year, we had that hard freeze here in Texas. Shut down electricity, water is horrific. Oh, I wasn't going to let that happen yet. So I actually went out and bought, while it was still hot outside, wraps for all our pipes and everything else. But I haven't even put them out yet. I probably need to do that this week because now we didn't have a hard freeze where I was this time, but it'll come. We'll get one here before too long. But now I feel for you. Up in Dallas Fort Worth, it started getting, oh my gosh. New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, we went and ate and went inside. I'm wearing shorts and everything. No problem at all. By the time I got outside at the end of the day, it's cold, freezing cold, miserable cold. So yeah, we have blue northers. Is that just down here in Texas, or do y'all have them too? I feel like at least up in Alberta and stuff I've heard referred to where we'll drop 30 or 40 degrees in an hour or two. That's what we had happen. But now we're okay down here in Houston. We're 31 degrees. That's about typical for our wintertime conditions here. Again, I saw up in the Northeast those blizzard conditions that y'all guys have and how horrible that was. You can keep it. You go shovel your sidewalks, use your snow blowers and all of that, and I'll give that up in exchange for having to live with 110 degree temperatures down here, 99% humidity on a lot of days. Our summers are tough, but some of y'all's winters are even tougher, I think. It's coming from a Texas guy. Now, I've been up to Alaska in places where it got really cold, but my blood runs a little thin. I'm not sure I can handle that cold weather for an extended period of time. That'd be a little tough. Wow, 7:57 already, 7:58. Yeah. All right, well, we'll shut this down pretty quick. Mark Taylor, what are your favorite English football teams? You know what? Anyone but Manchester United. And I always say that because it seems like Manchester United is a little bit like the Dallas Cowboys. Everyone that doesn't know quite as much about Premier League cheers for Manchester and all of that. I don't. Liverpool, I don't know. There's one team. They're the Gulls. What are they? The Gulfton or something? I can't even remember their name now. I don't know. Arsenal. I'm just throwing out names because I really don't know teams right now. I haven't worked international for a few years, so I haven't kept up as much as I used to. Chelsea, I kind of like them some too, but yeah, I'm still throwing out some names. Ma's dad likes Everton. Okay, I know Everton. It's the teams that are close to facing regulation or relegation every year, and the teams that no one expects anything to come from them and all that. They've been there for 100 years and they just never do anything. Those are kind of the teams I cheer for, but normally. Here's how I watch Premier League, because it's on NBC now, NBC, CBS. I think it's NBC. It's on some mornings, and I'll put it on there. And usually, I'll pick some team that seems to be a favorite to everyone else, and then I'll go against the other. I'll cheer for the other team just because they're the underdog and all of that. So I don't know. I actually follow World Cup a lot more than I follow even the Premier League. But yeah, I just haven't followed as much since my international travel days. All right, Michelle Moore, favorite NFL team, and can you recap the Super Bowl? Well, yeah, I don't know that I'm going to recap the Super Bowl. Maybe I'll recap the Super Bowl commercials. That could be fun. That'd probably be more fun than recapping the actual game itself, right? My favorite team, I grew up a Dallas Cowboys fan. The whole rest of my family, my extended mom, dad, family, brothers, they're all Cowboys fans. And I don't have anything against them, but I live in Houston. So I'm a Houston Texans fan. I got to cheer for the Texans, right? They had a few good years. Not so much now. They've, I think, won 4 games this season, and they're lucky to have won that. Just enough to screw up their draft choices for next year and all. But yeah, I cheer for all the Houston teams. Texans, Rockets, Astros. Got to cheer for the Houston teams. I've been here since 96, so that's my home team. So Houston Texans first, Dallas Cowboys second, and then anyone over the New England Patriots and Washington Redskins after that, because New England's won too many Super Bowls so far. Washington with Cowboys rival growing up. So yeah, I always cheer against those two teams, but Texans first, Cowboys second. And then of course, always it's always my Texas Aggies, regardless of what's. I'll watch Texas A&M Aggies, whether it's men's college football, women's softball, men's golf, equestrian sports. If they got the A&M logo on their name and it's on TV, you're going to find me watching it for the most part. All right, guys, it's 8 o'clock. I'm going to shut it down, but welcome to 2022. And hey, if you haven't watched Soylent Green, my little movie recommendation for the day, go find Soylent Green. It's got to be out there somewhere. Watch it. A little slow at times, a little creepy a lot of times, but it's kind of a cool movie just to think about the what ifs and everything. So, guys, y'all have a fantastic evening. Have a fantastic week. I will be back next Monday. We'll talk about all kinds of new stuff. And until then, SKD 143. Cheers, my friend. Love my wife. Love my kids. Love all of y'all as well. Welcome to 2022. Y'all have a good one, guys. Bye, my friend.